Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Wednesday, the 8th of April. My name is Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party and host of this morning show, Pep Talks in the Morning. Welcome to our program this morning. Joining me, we have Matthew Gibbs, Pep Central Hub Leader. Matthew, good morning.
Good morning, Felicia. Good morning, Akil. How are you guys?
And we're great, ready for another energized show this morning. And good morning to you, Akil, another return guest, one of my favorites on Pep Talks in the Morning. How are you? I heard nothing that you said, but I'm going to assume that the viewers heard you. Matthew Gibbs, good morning. Like I said, it's your first time on the program. Please feel free to introduce yourself. Just let the rest of Trinidad and Tobago and the world know what you do as the PEP Central Hub leader. What is your position in this? Because we have to get all of our frontline speakers, all of our leaders an opportunity to come on the program to share in the discussion on current events and topics that impact us all as Trinbagonians. So this is your platform to introduce yourself to the rest of Trinidad and Tobago who may not know exactly who is Matthew Gibbs.
Well, a lot of people in Central know who I am. All right, but my function, well, officially, I am Matthew Gibbs. I am the Central Hub leader. I am vetted with the responsibility in handling all the constituencies that falls under Central, which I believe is 9 constituencies. So, with that being said, it is Central's responsibility to take care of the people, to seek their interests, to see the needs of the people, and to highlight all the neglected, should I say, items that that goes on within the constituencies. We are in the Central Hub there to meet and greet with anyone who has a concern, who needs assistance. Right now, we're presently embarking on asking different suppliers and groceries to donate food items so we can do care packages to give out to those who need. I think something very important because within Central, there's a lot of people who lives below, I would like to say, the breadline, and it is a very unfortunate statement. But I mean, let's live in the real world. A lot of us within the country, not just Central, experience financial woes. And with this situation with the COVID in this country, I do believe it has gotten a lot worse for some people.
Definitely. I mean, we touch on that issue of COVID-19 and the response within both, well, not just the response, the response pertain to the government and policies and plans to deal with and mitigate the COVID-19 spread, flatten the curve, like they say. But there's also the response from the residents, the community residents themselves. I know, like you just mentioned, Matthew in Central, we have people who are experiencing difficulties. And I can't imagine just how badly this would have impacted them. I would have spoken about this on both a personal and a level where I know people have, like you said, we weren't doing well before this. So to imagine now what is the position, particularly for the paid workers, particularly for people who are living below the poverty line. This can't be anything easy for them to go through, both in the central and the north hub. And Akil is in charge of the north hub, under which a lot of our at-risk, poorest communities falls. But before we jump into that COVID-19 discussion this morning, we do have something else that came yesterday, like Dracula and took over the entire discussion. We went from discussing doubles and one day and literally did a 1 day into a discussion about hiring private security firms for comfort patrols in the community. And I'm going to alert you as the viewers of this program very early from now on because I'm looking forward to this at 9:30 this morning, and we didn't get to do this yesterday, but at 9:30 this morning opening the lines for you to call in and tell us, do you think these comfort patrols make sense or not? And if, well, whatever your answer, why? But that's at 9:30 this morning. We as a panel, we are going to jump into this discussion because many, at least for me, there's a lot of questions as why now? Why now for these comfort patrols? We have been, I live in Belmont, and it's not a secret that Belmont or parts of Belmont or all of Belmont, because there's an imaginary, there's no line, you know, is a community that has experienced or is known for having high poverty levels, which is backed by high levels of crime, etc. I mean, we're going through the COVID-19 right now, so you're seeing a decrease because most people are inside, because for the inside. But it is an at-risk community, followed by places like the Betham, Laventille, Sea, etc., all of which again fall under the well, not the Port of Spain, but the North Hub that we would have divided our constituencies to as as the party, Progressive Empowerment Party. And I live in a community where crime is known. It's high to a degree. There's known illicit activity taking place in certain areas. They say sometimes the police very well know who the drug lords are, and the drug lords have the police on payroll. And I mean, these are just the conspiracy theories that float around. But if you had to take if you had to take each theory with a pinch of salt and dissect it for any truth that there may be in it, it's always been known that we have a crime is high in this area, yet there's very little that has been done in terms of addressing crime, not just in Belmont and in the North, that's as a country. So that begs the question. We are going through COVID-19, like I mentioned, and crime is probably at its lowest that it's been since the last state of emergency called under the last administration. The only thing that we have to stop people from doing right now, which I think the police commissioner has been doing an amazing job at, is keeping people inside. So why now for those comfort patrols? Akin and Matthew, please jump into this conversation.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Akil, go ahead, sorry.
I have one question. You have a Trinidad and Tobago regiment, which Wikipedia is saying here now has approximately 10,000 men and women. There's also the Volunteer Defense Force, right? And the regiment has two primary roles: maintain the internal security of Trinidad and Tobago and the assistance of local law enforcement. That says a lot. We already have people paid to do exactly what they hire in these private security firms to do. And we're not going to use them, and the question is why?
That is a good question, Akil. And Matthew, you were about to say something as well.
Well, I agree with Akil 100%. We have police reserve officers. We have army reserve officers. This would dictate that we don't need private security firms unless there's a hidden agenda. Now, to rehash on what you said earlier on concerning the conspiracy theories, some people are now saying that, all right, Prestige Holdings has been closed, so they need to secure another form of income. So hence the private security firms. Some people saying those things. That is not my specific opinion. But whatever the case may be, I still don't see the need for private security to patrol these areas. There are residential areas that already have their own security that does their patrols. The police, and I think with a joint task force together with the army, they can achieve such. There is no need to hire a private entity. And furthermore,
And not just a private entity. You go ahead, because I'm going to read the names of the private entities. You go ahead.
Yeah, Innovate and those companies, I think it was. Yeah. So furthermore, again, why are we as a people, as a nation, allowing such to take place? Where these companies, I am sure they're not doing it pro bono. They're not doing it for free. I am sure about that. So why spend that money there? Why? Why are we doing that? Why are we allowing such? Was there proper procurement measures to hire these companies? Was this put out to the public for public opinion? No, no
Without
such thing.
anything.
Well, well, you introduced a whole chunk of things there because like I see this topic has the ability to be dissected from levels. Allied Security Limited, Amalgamated Security Services Limited. And for those who may not know, Amalgamated Security Services Limited is responsible for Justice on Time, which is that contract that gets millions and millions of dollars to transport prisoners to and from remand yard, to and from the prisons, whether or not their case calls in court. And we all know of people who would have turned up to court two, three, four, five, 6 times and heard from the judge that the police officer who charged you is not here, or the witness is not here, or we didn't get your case files today and come back in about 4 months for your new case date, or maybe a year. Amalgamated Security Services, Innovated Security Technologies Limited, and Protective Agencies Limited. They're just one of those that I did not know of, which is the Protective Agencies Limited. And I actually asked some of my PEP research crew to do an investigation into these owners. I know someone said that at least two of these people would have had jobs under the last administration, because the way we answer things is if the last administration do it, why this one can't do it? Of how we Ghanaians, and that is me, of course, being very facetious. But we have 4 security contracts going out to 4 private agencies. One of those agencies, at least one that we know of, that is already receiving government contracts that are on a complete standstill now because nobody is transporting prisoners anywhere. We are under a COVID-19 I wouldn't call it, well, it's not a state of emergency, but it's practically a state of emergency because every day we see more and more and more of our rights being taken away. Yet we're being told that we are not in a state of emergency and continue to operate as if we are not in one. But we have today 4 security, and this would have been implemented as today, 4 private security firms that are now in charge of, I can't even use the word policing because a further release was put out by the Ministry of National Security that says these people have no power. They can't arrest you. And of course, this was a concern for citizens because you have the security officers who are now in neighborhood. What are they responsible for, and where do their powers start and end? And I have to ask this question because we have our own. As of last week, we had an incident with our own registered police and regiment services taking advantage of our during the height of a COVID-19 pandemic. These people who license to arrest you and pull guns on you. Now you have security men being given powers that they say can't arrest you, but put in hands of authority because they're patrolling your neighborhood. Where do their powers and where does their authority start? And
Well,
Another question, Felicia. Is it because of what happened and the fact that a lawyer has taken up the case of this homeless guy to sue the state for what was done? Is it that by doing this is a means of judging any future possibilities of the same thing happening and the government having to go through this lawsuit again? Oh gosh, everything's so fishy with this whole situation. I mean, eh, lot of questions. And no one.
It does raise a lot of questions, and for me in particular, my biggest question in all this is why now? And again, that question, why now? Because I'm trying to understand one, they're saying that they're going to be patrolling areas. What areas exactly are they going to be patrolling? The at-risk areas, or is it the areas where citizens are afraid of being having their homes broken into? Because thinking about this scenario that we're experiencing right now, as days pass and people become more desperate, people become wanting for money and food, and a man who has to feed his family is a man who would do almost anything. As the days pass, I think there is a level of concern as to what people in poorer situations, people who may have no other recourse but to rob and break into your home, what might happen as it pertains to them. And I can understand the anxiety because I mean, we're literally living in a situation where people are unemployed. And like I said earlier, we were in a bad state before, so I could only imagine just how terrible it must be now. So, with that anxiety hanging over your head of robberies increasing, etc., is it that we are going to be patrolling areas that contain more affluent households? Is it that we are going to be protecting those, or are we going to have these comfort patrols, these 60 in more at-risk communities? Again, my question is, if most people at this point are inside, yes, we have the few who are being stubborn and doing what they want. But every morning I wake up, one of the first things I do, and this is how I judge the level of activity in my community. I look down the main road, and then from where I live, I can see down the main road all the way down to the savannah to gauge the level of traffic. And if I see two or three cars at 8:45 in the morning, I see a lot. And that is an indication, it's an indicator that business activity, commercial activity, as well as private activity has more or less come to almost a complete grinding halt. And as we implemented new measures yesterday to shut down restaurants, people are more or less inside. So, what exactly are these comfort patrols supposed to do? And then, when they do catch you outside, if that's the case, do they have, or are they going to now call the police to arrest you? Are they going to be doing the patrols with a police officer, or are they going to be doing it on their own? And then we move into the question, because that was my biggest question, and Matt raised it earlier. Was there any proper procurement for these contracts? Was there any? Because it literally, Akil, Matthew, you can tell me, did you hear anything about this in the past 24 press releases put out, media briefings held by the government? I believe we're up to number 20. Last time I checked, we were number 27, 28. Did you hear anything in those past 28 media briefings held by the Prime Minister and the COVID-19 response team? Any mention of us having to add additional security to our communities, to our neighborhoods, to beef up the police force and the defense force? You all heard anything?
Nothing concerning that. Nothing concerning that to my knowledge. I mean, I stand to be corrected, but I have not personally heard anything concerning that. And as far as the procurement goes, again, nothing. This is a decision that will affect the economy of the country right now, which we, like said before, in a horrible state. So spending this money does not make any sense. And to touch on what you said before, in terms of the patrols, again, if you look at the residential areas, especially in Westmoreland, they nearly every wall has a security company sticker on it. So then why? Why? What is the point? What is the point? In Central, Lange Park has its own security. Different residential areas have their own security because I believe some of the residents pay their HOA, which is the Homeowners Association fee every month. So What you trying to tell me then? I'm paying for security, and then via my taxes, I'm paying for security again that I don't need. Why? Really and truly, why?
Exactly.
And that money could be used for something else that would benefit more in terms of food or some kind of assistance to the poor in the community. It's needed. It needed elsewhere. Why should we not send our regiment to do that same work that they're going to hire these private firms to do? Why not? Obviously, something is seriously wrong here. Why pay for something that we already paying for?
Well, Akil, you mentioned earlier that we have 9,000 regiment officers. 9,000, you're saying, right?
10,000.
10,000. Add that to the approximately 7,000 that we have in our police force. I think numbers that I knew about 2, 3 years ago was about 6,000. I'm going to assume that we would have ramped that up since bringing on our new police commissioner. Let's average about 8,000 officers. So between that 17 to 18,000 police officers and regiment officers, why do we now need to bring in additional? And people were mentioning the fact that there's also MTS. There are also initiatives within the government right now, within our system, our national security system that exists. We have Coast Guards who clearly have nothing else to do right now in terms of patrolling. Why not come on land? And I mean, it may sound ridiculous, but why was the first solution to go to 4 private security companies? And the issue that I raised about procurement was an issue that I raised to bring up this very important fact. Like I said, we heard nothing in the news prior to this. We heard nothing in the media briefings prior to this. We heard nothing in the press releases prior to this about us hiring additional security to amp up the patrols and security patrols within our communities. So it begs the question, how much are these contracts worth? Because like Akil or was it Matthew who mentioned, we know they're not doing it pro bono. We know they're not doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. And I'm asking this question, how much are these contracts worth? Because we just made a 10 billion TT, a $1.2 million US withdrawal from our Heritage and Stabilization Fund. And to date, can anybody tell me how and where it is being spent? I'm seeing things happening. I'm seeing cathedrals getting money, and I'm seeing 50 million going towards hotels. And I'm hearing about four, not one, not two, not three, but four good security firms being offered contracts to secure this nation, in addition to our police service, in addition to our national security initiatives like MTS, in addition to the TT regiment, in addition to the Coast Guard. And I mean, considering now that crime is one of the lowest we've ever had in the country, we are paying money to do exactly what? And where has that money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund withdrawal gone? Where is it going? Are we going to wake up tomorrow after dealing with an issue today to hear that we have now hired a private ambulance firm to an additional private ambulance firm to deliver EMT and paramedic services in the wake of COVID-19? Are there going to be more overnight decisions that we don't hear about? And I saw, who was it? I think Philip put up that post yesterday. Has cabinet been disbanded? Has parliament been disbanded? And I understand that we need to make quick snap judgment decisions in the midst of COVID-19. But at this point, who is monitoring and acting as a control, as a barrier to dealing with and prevent safeguarding the pockets basically of the citizens? As it is right now, decisions are being made that we are being told is in the best interest of the citizens, but are these decisions really in our best interest, or are they in the interest of friends and financiers who may own contracts that we found a way to get them working and get them paid again? Matthew.
Well, I personally believe that um, it is that last option. It is to put back money in the hands of friends, financiers, and family. Now, let me touch a little bit on what procurement is. Procurement is simply the buying of goods and services or construction, usually by a large organization, either in the public or private sector. Procurement legislation is laws that govern these procedures, enabling accountability and transparency. Where is that? That is my question. Where is that? We have not been shown anywhere where these contracts are being obtained or given out. In terms of giving money to cathedrals and hotels, okay, the hotel, you want to give $50 million to a hotel for tourism. Right now, you can't even go to the beach. Outside of the COVID, we do not even have a proper tourist sector. So what is the point in renovating hotels, giving $50 million to hotels for renovation? For what? To sit down and look pretty with nobody in it? Would that generate any income? Would that provide employment? Because if I am the owner of a hotel and have nobody in my business, in my establishment, why should I bring out 1,000 people just saying as staff and pay them? So it does not promote employment. And you can take an old textbook and put a new cover on it, it's still an old textbook. So what I mean by that then is by you pumping money into unnecessary things, it shows you have no direction, none. You know, back in the days when I now started off in life as a teenager, drinking beer and whatnot, I'm just using the beer as an example. I never liked the taste of beer. Now, I was told that it was an acquired taste, which brings me to my point. Is common sense now something to be acquired? Seriously.
Listen,
Now, these
I
people,
want. Go ahead.
yeah, now these people, they sit down with PhDs, various degrees. And seriously, if their parents had to pay for their education, or I as a parent, and my child is displaying that level um, of lack of intelligence, I would question where my money went as a parent. Because here's what I school you, spend the money to give you a degree, and then you come and telling me, here's what. In times of a health crisis, let's fix the a hotel. Let's give a church money. There is a hidden agenda without dispute. And these are the questions people need to stand up and ask. I have in my hand or on my desk here the book that contains the Constitution and the rights. Outside of that, if I am paying you a salary, that means you are my employee. You work for me. Hence, our tax dollars go towards the salaries of these people. We don't work for you. I'm very sorry. If any one of you are looking at this, listen carefully. We do not work for you. You work for us. You have been paid to carry out whatever responsibility under your portfolio to the best of your ability. Now, the best of your ability doesn't mean adding another zero to your bank account, because you're minusing from ours. And you're adding zeros to our account. Just plain zeros. It have no digits before the zeros. Yours have a lot of digits, and then 7 and 8 and 10 zeros. These people with this kind of banking or financial freedom, however you got your earnings, whether it may be ill-gotten gains or by whatever means necessary, your own private procurement strategies, here's what. Why don't you now show an act of good faith and donate to the public? Like these guys who have these big conglomerates, give back to the people, because those are the same said people who will come right back and spend in your establishments. So not to stray too much off of the topic. Right now, we're in a sad, sad place where the people don't know their rights. And this is where the breakdown of an education system displays its nasty head. Because had I been informed, had I been empowered, had I been educated, I would now know the questions to ask. And I would now know who to ask these questions to. These people who are responsible for the health sector in this country, the minister, you are telling me that carnival was more important? Stick to your portfolio. You understand? Do your job. Do your job. Because had we secured our borders before all of this, we may not have been in such a bad state. May not.
Abiola James is asking, can you guys please tell me in this pandemic, what is the army doing, with three angry faces following that? And Abiola James, that's the same question I am asking, and what the panel has been asking this morning, because we woke up in a country that we have been told, not pre-warned, we've been told that we have now secured 4 private security firm contracts that will be, it's not up for debate, it's not up for question, they will be in charge of conducting patrols within your neighborhood. I know for one, me, Felicia Holder, because every day since this pandemic, I put my chair on the outside at approximately 4 in the afternoon. I sit and I watch the sunset while drinking a cup of tea, just taking in the peace of the neighborhood, the quiet of the neighborhood now that everything has grind to a halt. And also observing what's happening in terms of traffic coming, traffic going. I know during this period, I will be sitting down to see and waiting to see if I have any security comfort patrols in my area. Because if any area I would think may need it the most might be Belmont. We will see, and it's left to be said, but whether it's needed absolutely or not is a question for debate this morning. And I had a discussion with somebody about this last week, trying to explain to him basic opportunity cost. Economics, one of the first things that they teach you in the first week of joining an economics class. One of the first things they teach in the economics class is opportunity cost, which basically is the cost of doing business when you choose one thing over the other. As of right now, it's no secret, it's no surprise that Trinidad and Tobago has very limited resources. The Prime Minister came on national television in a very somber tone and told us that we are in a crisis. We are in an emergency state. Our Minister of Health said that we are in a war that is greater than World War One, World War Two, and 9/11 put together. And I said, you know what? Whoa, this is absolutely serious. And they came and they pontificated and they said all of this. And then they made a lot of promises. They said how they were going to ease the burden. They spoke about grants and they spoke about unemployment, and they pleaded with landlords and employers to keep on employees and don't kick out your tenants. Let's all understand and rally together. And they said a lot of pretty things and said nice words. And for those who don't think critically, you would have fallen for some of these empty promises, some of which we've heard every general and local election for the past 20, 30, 40 years. Yet, now that it's down in the mix of things, now that the reality has actually hit, where these grants and beautiful words and promises that we've been told that are going to come in the midst of this crisis, in the midst of this war, in the midst of this emergency situation. Like I said, we don't have much money as a country. $10 billion was just taken out of our Heritage and Stabilization Fund. I would think one of the main places that we would be investing or divesting this fund actually would be in the hands of the people who need it the most. Yet today, as of today, people are complaining that things that they hear on these releases and on these media briefings, when you call the officers, they're saying either they don't know about it or it's not available yet, or they're telling you to go and find a computer and find a printer and download forms and fill them out, and then go and find your old employer who is now closed because everybody is closed if you're non-essential during COVID-19. Find your old employer, get them to validate you, get some recommenders because you have to get recommendations in order to access grants. If you're self-employed, worse yet. So jump through a kind of hoops and circus and rodeo just to access $1,500 if you are applying for unemployment, and $2,500 if you're applying for renter's assistance. And just this is so hard to follow through on. Just this is so hard to get. Yet today we have 4 staff, because our company is not doing business without a promise or assurance or a signed contract on a dotted line that this is the amount of money that we are working for. All of this is being done while security firms, private security firms, have been or will be eating a food, as we like to say in Trinidad and Tobago, until this COVID-19 pandemic ends. Meanwhile, the houses and the bellies and the neighborhoods and the people who need it the most are going through an absolute difficult time trying to access these relief programs that the government claims to have put in place since March the 23rd. Today's April the 8th.
And here this
What are
now,
your thoughts on this?
we amalgamated. Sorry, let's call them justice on time. Have nothing to do right now because the court's closed, correct? Why not ask this company, okay, cool, seeing that we're paying you a contracted amount, which they're not gonna tell them they're not paying them for the time of the pandemic. At least they don't seem so. So okay, say, well, all right. If you have staff not working, we're already paying you. Want to have the patrols? Cool. Ask them to do the patrols at the same cost. I don't know if that's what's going on. They didn't say that. It could be.
Actually, we don't know. We don't know. There is no public transparency, as is the custom and the norm in this government, who would say one thing in the night and then you wake up the next morning and see something completely different happening. There is zilch public transparency on what is happening with these contracts. And it begs question for many people. Is this government using this crisis to empty what is left
Try.
as a free for all? Exactly. Are they using it as a free for all for friends to come and offer contracts that we may not need at this time? And then when we look around at the end of this crisis, everything is gone. And they get to use the excuse, well, COVID-19 happened and we needed this money. I know, as a citizen of this Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, if there's one thing that I would constantly be hounding this government for, is an accurate dollar by dollar, cent by cent down of what was spent during the time we declared this a national, a global, as an actual pandemic to the time that it ended. I want to know what was spent and where was it spent. And the place the most money is in providing relief for the people, because let us be honest, Akil, that is where we needed the most. That is absolutely where we need the most. Even high and security and a comfort patrol van and give out 4 private contracts. If you have people able to buy food, able to provide for their family so they don't have to go and rob the man in Lunchpack and climb over the wall in Westmoreland to feed a family, we doing things back to front. Is like they're preparing for something that they're putting no provisions in front of to mitigate. So we basically preparing for all-out war. Not even the tools, the resources, to prevent a war. So it's almost as if we call ourselves, it's almost as if we're saying we expect you to be in a state of desperation to want to go out of your community or to want to go within your community and disturb the peace. But the things that we are supposed to be giving people right now, where are they? Where are these grants? Where are they? And why are we spending money on security rather than these grants? I would love to hear how much these contracts are worth. God, they are being done free, which we all know they're not being done for free. I would want to praise and applaud these four security agencies who gave up of their time and their resources to secure us as a nation. Let's be honest, we know it's not happening. So I want to know how much money we're spending on them. And I want to know because can that money have been used to buy groceries for thousands? Have been
Exactly.
used could money have been better used in redirected? Could it have been redirected into food security? Somebody came, who was it? A minister yesterday, and I had that article and I noted it that Trinidad and Tobago only had 6 months of food. And again, the theorists are this up until a year. Some are saying this is going to end by next month, but we don't know. Absolutely don't know. Last week, it was supposed to end at last week. We're now extended 2 more weeks. It's going until the 20th of April. It may go even longer than that. We don't know. And in a time of uncertainty, we have no provision. We have nothing in place to secure us should this have to go on any longer.
Well,
Matthew.
Felicia,
Okay, screen for a
Felicia,
minute, guys.
go ahead, Aki. Yeah. All right. Now, just saying, to touch on what we're discussing here right now, I would first of all like to start off by saying, in terms of this grant and promises being made of public assistance in rent, in food, and basic cost of living, by definition, a promise is the comfort of a fool. You understand? And for you to come outside and promise me something and dangle it in front of my face is just like some of those guys who use animals for racing. They dangle food to gather speed in front of the animal. We're an intelligent race. We're supposed to be an intelligent nation and an intelligent race as human beings. We're supposed to have humanity embedded within our DNA. Apparently, like I keep stressing on and saying to different people, financial statements overwhelms and overcomes and overpowers humanity. Now, Trinidadians like this monkey see, monkey do thing. If America do it, well, then it do make no sense. Finland and some of these places has implemented different strategies in terms of their education sectors and different sectors, different policies they have implemented. They did not wait on America. Why are we trying to play monkey see, monkey do when we have intelligent people who could write legislation, who could put proper things in place to secure this country and our needs? Yes, they said, I read that article as well, where they said we have 6 months of food left. Had we invested in our agricultural sector before, we will not have this worry. Because if a nation cannot feed itself, well, then you're prone to attack. And anybody outside there could do with you as they please, because food being a necessity and the most important thing for existence, that could be used as leverage. Some establishments even raising their prices. But to get back on point, really and truly, we need to have proper procurement legislation. We need to have proper governing bodies. The HSF, from my personal opinion, should have been manned by a private entity, not susceptible to political or business influence. So this would allow for us to experience checks and balances, see where the money is being spent. Because if I am the financial controller of a business and I'm doing that for you, I can tell you what I want because you're not there to really see what is taking place. You are not on top of your game. You have vetted me with the responsibility of handling your finances. If I tell you, yeah, Felicia, well, here's what. We just going and buy this and we're going and buy that but we run out of money. So you know what we had to do? Ban your belly. And I use that
But
phrase purposely. Mm.
Matthew, but what does it say of us as a country where we need a private entity to manage the expenses of the government? And I say that with it's incredulous to me because the governments are the people who are in charge of they are the peak of they're the top. They are the people that we put in charge of our affairs because 1.4 million of us cannot sit down in parliament and make decisions. That is absolute madness. And if we were ever supposed to sit down and take a consensus of 1.4 million people, we will never make any decisions. So best believe it's not that we expected the government to consult with all 1.4 million of us on every single expenditure and decision that they make in government or as it pertains to this COVID-19 response. But we are expecting that there is a group, a body of people who are in charge of sitting down, which we call the government, which we call cabinet, which we call parliament, which we even call the opposition who has gone dead silent, radio silence. We are expecting them to sit down and question and challenge and advocate for the best for all of us. The purpose of government, the role of government, inclusive of the opposition, is the well-being of the people. That's their responsibility. So when we get to the point that we say we have to put a private institution to oversee their decisions, what does that say of the government of the day?
Well, plainly, failure. Failure. A lot of them in the positions, like you said, Felicia, we have put them there to make decisions on our behalf. Again, back to the business side of it. I, as the owner of a company, I cannot put somebody who has no experience in finance to run the finance part of my company. If I do things like that, I'm asking for my own, failure as a business. And these people vetted with this responsibility has shown that they are not capable of managing the affairs. Their interest is in their own affairs. Their own affairs with this fund. I sincerely believe that this fund is going to be exploited, is going to be used for their convenience, not towards the needs of the people. I'm sure, and I hope Mr. Alwari is listening to this. Why don't you stop receiving rent for a couple of months on all of your buildings? Why don't you donate that money towards the people? But no, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that, right? Because you know where it had to come from? Our fund. And then fool the people and tell them, yes, we're giving grants. I looked at those forms online. It makes it virtually impossible for John Doe to get this grant. They make it look simple, but if you dissect it, it is very difficult for the average working person to achieve this. And how are you going to do this when NIB has no money? Column, you came and asked and said that you want to collect taxes. So just like Philip said, you asking me for my money to give it back to me? What sense does that make? What sense does that make? We are assuming that we have intelligent people in parliament. Assuming. Break up that word assume. Okay, enough said, right? Yeah. So if they want to secure their interests, the billions of dollars that all of them made from contracts and what have you, here's what: show us act of good faith, dip into your pocket, and feed your community. Because regimes past and present, everybody has benefited to some degree. I mean, we're not in the business of calling names. We're just saying, because of that fact, everyone who is a business person slash politician has enjoyed the treasury and what our ancient or past oil revenue has given to the country. The oil in this country and the resources of this country belongs to the people of this country. It comes like a company with 1.4 million shareholders. Shareholders are supposed to benefit off of the profit of the company. But then again, if I have an ulterior motive, I will tell somebody with some numerical exchange or financial exchange, here's what, show losses, shut it down. I just bought a company outside. Oh, by the way, that's why my big conglomerate broke up. Yeah, I would do something like that. That's just my personal opinion. If I were to be, for lack of a better expression, a corrupt businessman. Now, politicians should not be owned and controlled by the business sector. Because you know what you are? Puppets on a string. You have no voice. You have no opinion. You don't even have manhood to be a puppet. Yeah, I said that. And you know what? I hope the Brady Bunch take that with a pinch of salt. Yeah, because the people of this country suffering, where, according to what you said, can these funds go towards giving people who really need something? Why it is private little entities such as ourselves have to go and develop food drives, do care packages for people, and give it to the needy? We're not even in government, and this is what we're doing. We don't have parliamentary privilege, and this is what we're doing. If anybody who is in politics or has political influence, if you have any shred of humanity, any shred of patriotism, or being what we like to call a true Trini, because you know what? When something great happened, like with our athletes, Brian Lara and Ato Bolian, oh God, yes, we're telling the whole world, yeah, I'm a Trini, you're proud. Why can't I be proud of my neighbor who took a stand to make a change and let the chain follow on? Why can't we be proud of each other as a people? Why do we have to reach to this point where every word that comes out of these politicians' mouths, we have to question it? There are a lot of them who don't question because you know why? $200 on a cell phone will rally you for life. Yeah. So I want them to take that cell phone and invest it and see if it could put food on the table, if it could buy a house, if it could educate your children, if it could put clothes on your back. Yeah, that little 500 or 200 on a phone. Yeah, so let's do that and break it down and see if that will give you a health center in your area. Let's do that.
I mean, I know you're being very facetious here, but you're right on the button because um prior to us even at the start of our COVID-19 lockdown quarantine period, I remember reading an article from Singapore and people immediately debunked it. Oh, you all like to compare us to those Asian countries and you all don't know what's going on and they're living under a dictator. And I said, you know what? I'd rather live under a benevolent dictator than a wicked dictator that I seem to be living under right now because Singapore government ministers agreed to take a salary. Actually, they volunteered to take a salary and give money bonuses to frontline employees, people like nurses and bank workers, and people forget about the bank. That's reminded me yesterday. And I want to big up all of the bank workers who are braving this, and I consider you frontline workers as well. You're making sure salaries are paid, you're making sure people still getting their checks. And I know you must be operating under very tough conditions, just like our nurses and healthcare providers. So big up to all of our bank workers this morning. But like I was saying, Singapore had government ministers who were willing to take salary cuts and ensure that people like these bank workers and frontline staff and hospital staff and nurses who are so very stressed right now. I have some nurses as friends, both in Trinidad and Tobago and in the United States, who are overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed, they are tired, they are understaffed, they are underprepared in terms of PPE, and they are at risk. They are at risk people. So a government that is willing to say, you know what, I'm taking a cut in my salary to give to these people who are working so hard, and not just those people, but to give to the people who are impacted by COVID-19, to build shelters for the homeless who are out on the streets and need protection just like us who have homes during COVID-19. A government like that Akil and Matthew, it's a government that would forever earn the respect of the people. And you said earlier, is Faris Al Rawi during this period forfeiting his rent for number 1 and 3 Alexandra Place? Is he saying, I am willing to take a cut in salary and the rest of my government ministers? You know what? That decision we made back in 2018 to increase our pensions, I hereby revoke it. You want an overnight decision? Let's make this overnight decision that nobody was prepared for. We are prepared to forfeit our pension that advocated for ourselves only because the country didn't have enough money for everybody. So only we were able to get a pension increase. We are willing to forfeit that to make sure the rest of the nation is taken care
Yes.
of. A government will earn the forever respect of of their citizens of their country. You want to know something that might actually make me ever considering voting for PNM, and I hope they don't take this and chop it up and actually let me not say it because they will definitely do that. But I will put it this way: they will forever earn my respect if they actually prove to me that they have the well-being of the citizens in mind. And there's been no decision, none, not one, because it's easy to come on a platform and throw out candy and say things. The follow-through is a different story. There's been no decision to date that has proven to me without a doubt that this government is interested only in the well-being of their citizens. We have copied and pasted policies and plans from countries across the world. We prove that we're good at copy and paste, but as it comes to implementation, nothing that they have shown me. I swear to God, Akil, I swear, Matthew, should the Prime Minister and his cabinet agree that they can live out their last 3 months, that they can without their tax-free perks. And I saw somebody say yesterday, we fighting down the doubles, man, for not paying taxes, but we happy to tell all of those government ministers, live a tax-free life. Here's your housing allowance, as if we get to drive them Benz that those ministers have, and if we get to live in the grand 3-story homes and mansions that they have in their private gated communities. We fight down the local doubles vendors. But hey, government ministers, you all don't have enough money, take more. That's who we are as a people. That's who we are. We
That's right. That's right.
fight down our own. We destroy them. I see what they did to source doubles, and I just shake my head because I couldn't understand how do we hate our own selves so much. We hate ourselves so much that we would fight down and actively seek to destroy a business for the benefit of a multinational, international conglomerate. And this is who we are as a people. When I told somebody the government is just a reflection of the society, the government that we hate is everything that we hate in ourselves as citizens.
That's
I,
right.
I
That's right. I fully agree with you.
That's what
Yes.
Source is going through now. I see some kind of victimization and threats they get over Facebook because KFC shut down. Now, Source never called for the government to shut down KFC or the other establishments. Source just called for a fair across the
Yeah,
board.
yes. And I asked yesterday, I said I wasn't aware because they source caused the government to shut down employment for 5,000 people. I said I wasn't aware that the Prime Minister was taking policy decisions from source doubles. I wasn't aware that source doubles was the new policy guide as it pertained to making decisions in this country, because had I known that, I would have gone and started my own doubles stall and see if the government would pay attention to me too. And for these stupid ridiculous people who say nonsense like source influence the government to shut down all restaurants. I hope you understand how stupid you sound. And I'm saying that without fear of contradiction, without fear of actually I might get buffer after this for calling people who say that's stupid. But that is such a stupid thing to say. silly might sound
Yes, it
nice.
is.
That's such a silly thing to say. But it's a stupid thing to say that source doubles is now influencing policy decisions of no. Your government and their inability to manage and have a fair playing field for both small and big businesses were the ones responsible for making that stupid policy decision. Because you know why? Shutting down delivery for all made absolutely no sense. Implementing proper protocols and procedure for delivery where you have to have electronic for the past 3 days, just cannot remember what is the name of those machines that you bring, and people keep telling, I keep forgetting. Never mind that I use one and the Pep has one. Was that Akil?
Interstate machines.
Point of sale machines. I need to write that and make a note and pin it. Actually, I'm going to put it as a little sticky. I post it right on my laptop when I need to reference that name. Make sure that you have point of sale machines. No more dealing with cash. Wear gloves and masks. I mean,
Mhm.
these are things that they could have
Mhm.
done to make sure that everybody had a fair and even playing field. But like I said yesterday, in his huge big boy tantrum, playing a game of Monopoly and realize that he losing, realize that he's in the back, realizing that he not going to win, knock all the pieces off the table. And that is who we have and have to look to as leadership of this country in a time, in a period where we need leadership the most. A prime minister
And
That's
the
right.
funny
shows
thing how
tantrum
it was done,
in his
how it was
inability
done,
to.
he
Yeah, but
came on,
again,
he said one thing, and then all us, oops, I make a mistake. From tomorrow, all the restaurants shut down, or whatever date it is. It was so funny how it
Government by VAPS. Government by VAPS. That is clearly what is happening. Nothing is planned. Everything is overnight. Everything is how based
freeze. All right, apparently we lost. Yeah, and just flick like he changed his mind. Look, let me just shut down everybody and done kind of attitude. Really, as Felicia say, like he just flick all the pieces off the board and sit the hell with that. I don't know now, Matthew. It's a
yeah, yeah,
comedy. It's a
yeah,
comedy.
which is true, right, Akil? Because here's what everybody complaining and want to attack source doubles. But if you really think about it, all they were asking for was an equal playing field. It shows direct discrimination by saying, you know what, you can't sell doubles, but KFC and Burger King and these other franchises, what have you, they're allowed
And
to open,
the
they're
gyro
allowed to
people.
sell,
Yeah.
and the gyro people. You understand? Now, some of these doubles vendors, even outside of the COVID, well, I buy doubles sometimes every day, sometimes, right? Some of them have a sink. In fact, a lot of them have a sink. A lot of them have hand sanitizer by the sink, have napkins, everything. And they ask you not to gather around the boxes too much or too close because it's food. Imagine
Exactly.
that. They had that before COVID. You understand? These franchises only just put it up to say what? Oh, we following protocol. But you know what? It's the same doubles vendors that set the standard for you to follow. So why argue with Source and the different people and say that they caused KFC and whatnot to shut down? They did not
But
say
think about
to shut them down because they just said that they
think,
asked for an equal opportunity in business,
think,
and that is only fair.
think about this, Matthew. Think about the amount of people on a daily basis as buy doubles, right?
Mhm.
In our situation now, eliminate that doubles vendor or the supply of that doubles. These people who gonna buy that doubles, what they left to buy, who
That's it.
gonna gain from the people shutting down? Huh?
That's
And
it.
it's so obvious
That's
when they
it.
do these things. They're doing these things in front
Yeah.
of us, and the thing is, people defending this, and it's pissing me off now. I had a follow up with a counselor, a PNM counselor last night, because I was complaining about a WASA issue, a leak. Not the big one of City Road. One right in my area, that leak is causing the pressure to be low when water comes and my tank not filling right up. So the length of time they leave the water on the tank the tanks not full. So we barely lasting period of time before the water come back. And I complained about this, and he's like, "Oh, shut up now," and he cussed me and what kind of thing. There's a PNM councillor, I believe, and who aspiring to be even higher up. And this how he talking to me, and I said, "Well, what madness is it?" I said, "What's wrong with you?" You understand? And the funny thing is, I know him personally too. I know his family, everybody, right? And I got pissed off about that, and then I saw somebody else and you give him a thumbs up, and I had to get pissed off with her too. So I had to ask. I say, so is this the kind of response that we like from our representatives, people that you're going to put in position to represent us? Should they handle issues before he said, "Okay, cool, hey, don't wild up yourself, calm down, let me make 2 calls and see what I can do"? No, he didn't do that. He attacked me. I take it as an attack. You're disrespectful. Yeah?
That's right.
And this is how they plan to do everything. The minute you catch them with their pants down, or they can't defend what they're saying or doing, they get violent or vicious and disrespectful. They want to belittle you, right? But we're not fighting for things we don't deserve. We're fighting for the right thing. If this government had more faith in the army and the police services, they would not even consider any private food. Besides the money aspect.
But I wouldn't. Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say I had more faith, because you and I both know why this is being done. You and I both know the truth why this is being done.
Well,
Right?
putting that aside.
So yeah, yeah.
But
Go
on the
ahead.
other hand, we go back to the same issue, like with the Tobago ferry, what they did with the Superfast Galicia. They crashed the sea bridge in order to bring in their own plan or means of the same strippiness, corruption and theft. And it's the same thing they do. We jump on the Coast Guard back and say, "Oh, they're doing all their work and this, that, the other." And then we hear through the grapevine that they do have diesel and they're not supplying them with what they need to do their job and all of this. So it's like we failing the system for a reason, right? Now, I'm sure you go on Facebook and put up a post about this private security thing and why they're not using the army, and some idiot gonna come and say, "Oh, look what happened when we had the army and police thing. Look, they beat up the vagrant, and now we're getting the government getting sued, and that will cost taxpayers money." They're gonna come and use that as an excuse to justify the hiring of these private companies.
Well, Akil, now I know no lawyer, but common sense should prevail. Going back to a situation in San Fernando Hospital, that a video was circulated on Facebook with how the amalgamated officers reacted to the press. So if they come around me with that kind of mentality, who I tell you I'm going to sue the government? Because you know why? You hire them. Your responsibility. That falls under your responsibility. So they can miss me with that bullshit and can't give me that stupid talk, because here's what. If I'm suing you, it's because the government or the Minister of National Security is going to be sued as well. Because it is under your responsibility. Under your responsibility. Which I would seem to think as well as, like I keep saying, you're vetted with responsibility, like the Speaker of the House, the Minister of Health. You saw it to no avail to protect the country. That is crimes against humanity. That is genocide. So you know what? After all of this, some of them should have the consequences to face with similar charges. Just saying, just a point I'm trying to bring across. But why hire somebody who's going to react outside of the law? Because you know they can act outside of the law and think to yourself that it have no rebuttal towards you. But as they being the contracted entity to the Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of National Security will absorb the responsibility of their actions. So should they come out and abuse anybody or want to belittle anybody or manhandle anybody, the ministry is directly responsible for their actions. Because you know why? You can't control them. You can't control their actions. and again. So it come like I paying you to come and beat me up. That don't make no sense.
Well,
That don't make no sense to me.
to, to be to be fair, if there's patrols driving around, no matter what powers they have, it will be a kind of deterrent to some of the criminals, to some of the people
Agreed.
thinking of doing wrong. All right, so it will help a
Agreed.
little bit. But the point is, we have the army. We have 10,000 from what Google is saying. I haven't seen that. I didn't check it on any local link. 10,000 security army soldiers. They are doing nothing, right? Bring them out. Let them drive around and do the same thing.
Yes, yeah,
Save
definitely.
that money that you're going to have to now and pay, and possibly you're going to
Yeah,
be paying amalgamated on top of the, I think it's $100 and something thousand dollars a day for the justice on time service that they're not doing right now. You're going to pay them something on top of that to do these patrols in areas. Come on,
yeah.
man. No, I'm not saying now, after probably seeing this video, they might run out and say, oh no, amalgamated, they're gonna sub that from their course and balance it back and whatever, and come up with some kind of thing to fool us again. Right? I don't know, boy, in a bad state, and instead of them admitting, okay, cool, we handled this wrong, we handled that wrong, and deal with it properly. Come straight. Let's just fix the country. At the end of the day, all we want is a better functioning country. We want to put aside the corruption. We want to take out, put aside the nepotism. I mean, we talk about conflict of interest in private companies and then with certain activities, you see steps taken to deal with conflict of interest. And then we have that going on in government. So what example we setting for everybody else? What examples?
Yeah, true that. Keel, give me 1 second so I could log out and log back in because I've seemed to lost some volume here. All right, so guys, please excuse me for just a second. All right.
Right. So you're leaving the time in the show. Cool. Well, Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want to tell all you.
Right, back on.
You ready? You do that so fast? Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, back to what you were saying about the army and the what they have. They have 10,000 people registered in the army, right?
Yeah.
If we were to divide the army throughout the country, right, within the 41 constituencies, that's on average about 243 people per constituency, army personnel. That's just army. What about the
Temporary
police?
camps in each constituency.
Yeah.
Temporary camps
So
in each constituency. Take that money. We're going to give all these private firms now. Buy food, buy care packages, whatever. Put that in the camp with the army. Give the army a double responsibility to secure the
that's right.
constituency and to have food available, have care packages available in case while on patrol they may bounce up people that really in need of a hand. They need a hand up. They
Yeah.
need something to do. You
Yes.
could see this
Yes.
when these things are there. We don't need a counselor or a MP to come and say, okay, Mr. John, Mr. Harry, Mr. This, carry packages for them. Because you drive around on the street and you could see that you meet somebody and know, hey, this person needs help. And within 2 minutes of conversation, you could confirm that. And give them. Why only run around to give help to people who really need it? It's a fight down. Yes, it has some people who have and they will be there and they hand out and they're taking whatever they get because that's a culture that was encouraged. It was encouraged in Trinidad and Tobago. So we have that gimme culture, but they can't condemn everybody for that. Right?
That's it.
There is genuine people out there in the communities that need help. Let each constituency handle their constituency. Let the MP do his work. Have you heard any MP come on TV on any of those broadcasts and see anything, you see any MP talking about the constituency or asking any or giving out the numbers. I think somebody was saying yesterday on some live I was watching, give out your number, let your constituents call, talk to them, have a rapport with them. Yes, it might be a little overwhelming, but if you get to help 5, 10, how much ever, at least you're making a dent and you're helping the situation a little bit. But we're not
That's right.
seeing that.
That's
We're
right.
not seeing that.
Yeah,
Don't even try to
that's
call
right.
the
These
MPs.
people, yeah, these MPs and these councillors, apparently everybody wearing an invisible cape. Where are you now? Where are you? And you're right, Akil. You're right. You're absolutely right. Have they put things in place structurally in terms of security? Like, for example, I'm in Central here. Not too far from where I live is where they call Egypt Gardens. Before you enter Egypt Gardens, there is an army and police post, an entire building dedicated to those people, that personnel. And they have the barricade structured in such a way that you can't just drive through. It's like a zigzag something to get through it, which slows you down.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Why not set up that, according to you, why not set up that in all the constituencies? 10,000 people registered in the army, 243 people for 41 constituencies. That is just army alone. Let these people, if the financiers so concerned, why not take some of your company profits or some of your products and donate it? Donate it to those who really in need. If you own a chain of groceries, all right, you will have stock backing up on you in some cases that you could donate. Show a bit of
Yeah.
humanity. Show it to the people who really need. Because in Central here, like I said, we have a lot of people who living below the breadline. Those are the people who are really looking for handouts, but they really need, you understand, they really need that level of assistance. And for us to turn up as a country, when I say for us, as those in power, wrong word, sorry, as those in government, yeah, as those people in government are not paying any homage to these people. They are not providing they're not saying, here's what, Mr. MP, you're in charge of Chaguanas East or wherever the case may be. Get your facts together, see those who we need. Let us send out the army truck with food packages and give the most needy first. The most needy people.
Exactly. But you
You
realize
understand?
something, Matthew. You
Mhm.
realize something. Close your eyes and picture a PP in government and this crisis stepping. Picture our border supervisory system set up in each
Exactly.
constituency. You
Exactly.
that going mad.
That keep going to my mind right through, since this whole COVID start. Yeah,
Watch
because they
them.
can rightfully
We
go
have
this day.
each constituency handling their own issues. You would have in each constituency. Let's use Diego Martin for example. We have the St. Michael Home for Boys that was closed down and it's just empty right now. But that was set up as a housing place. So it would have kitchens, it would have dormitories, it would have bathroom facilities, laundry, everything that is needed for a quarantine center. And it's properly
Mhm.
secured too because it's fenced around. It's a big, wide open area. The buildings actually have a good distance from the boundaries. Right? So that would be
Yeah,
an
yeah,
ideal quarantine center for Diego Martin. Right? So these border
exactly.
supervisors would have identified that as a quarantine zone. Right? We would have been assigned
Exactly.
our medical, our ambulance would have been assigned to our area, so we have fast response, right? Whatever contagion, whatever virus spread in the constituency would stay in the constituency and won't have to transport from Diego Martin to Balanja or to Cooper,
Mhm.
which increases the risk of spread, all right?
Yeah,
But so
cross
much things
contamination.
would
Yeah.
have happened with a proper, and then your MP now would have been dealing with his constituency. The MP would have to be maybe not on the ground for security reasons, but he would be in contact with the burgesses, right? And hearing their needs and working out plans how we're going to deal with it, especially the food. And then the MP would know exactly the poor areas, who impoverished, who
That's right. That's right.
together with
That's right.
together with his supervisors, and they could identify this beforehand because his job would have been to see about his constituency only he would not have had a ministerial position, right? So he'd have more time to walk his constituency and to meet the people constituency. And by that time, when this situation arises now, what we know, he would have known who needs and who could survive on their own and would have been able to assist and make things easier. And that, in the long run, would reduce crime, would reduce anybody thinking of doing crime because they're in a situation where they have no choice. If you end up in a position where you have your family to feed and you have no income, you have no means of let's say you don't have land to plant or you can't plant, what is your next step? To line up to beg
That's
to
true.
pull out a set of forms to apply for a grant, where you had to call some MP and lick his, sorry,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get something.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
ridiculous. Ridiculous. We deserve better than that. I didn't
We
remind
do.
the fellow last night. I said the well-being of the citizens is the purpose of government. You can't come on here and blast me because I complaining that my water can't fix. No, that's madness. Madness.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I agree. I totally agree with you because under the board of supervisors, which would have been 5 people hired from their irrelevant constituencies, there's the supervisor of health, social development, education, infrastructure, and security, all of which would have worked hand in hand to deploy the necessary means to reach to each and every constituent to make sure their needs are met. And like you rightfully said, let's just say I am the MP. It is not my responsibility to go and see about another constituency. It is not my responsibility because I hold no other portfolio than my own, which now enables me to take care of my constituency with full accountability. Because if something does not work, I'm going to ask the board why, the relevant person, why this hasn't worked. And so it goes down, which now denotes checks and balances and full transparency. Yeah, and full transparency. But but like I said, I mean, putting the right things in place will not add zeros to my bank account. So I now have to make sure the structure remains broken. So somebody had to bribe somebody had to beg somebody had to, do whatever it takes to get the help that they deserve. Now, had things been put in place properly in this country, in every constituency, this country could fix. It that simple. It that simple. It's no big maths. It's not rocket science, according to my partner Philip. It's common sense, which by my observation is something now to be acquired because apparently a lot of them who in the position to make the difference, they lack common sense. You understand?
A
I
lot of
wouldn't
people
put a
fear.
pharmaceutical salesman. You understand? I wouldn't take a pharmaceutical salesman and make him minister of health, you know. You understand? He could probably hold a position on a consultancy board. But you know what? You're not qualified. You're not. So what you doing there? You understand? Remove yourself. Take your accountability. Remove yourself from there. And on all of these who in government, who in the positions, here's what. You're doing things to hurt the country. Yes, I telling you that. You're doing things to hurt the country, your countrymen. So here's what you should do. Take it out of your own pocket and help the people. Every person that has passed, everyone that has suffered from this COVID, I believe and I think, and I would suggest, if I may, that these politicians dip in your own pocket and compensate the relevant families. Because you know why? It's your fault. It's your fault. You're not doing the right thing. Secure the blasted place. You understand? But no, again, the puppet masters making sure the puppets do their bidding. Again, again. So people also want to know why PDP people so vexed and always have an issue. If something bothering me, I must speak up for myself. If I am being served with a level of injustice, I must secure my needs. And that's what the people of this country need to do. Because one little buck, one person stood up in parliament and said, they're right yet. You understand? So here, what Trinidad, take that as a hint. Take it as a hint. And we're going to deal with them. You
I
understand
feel
from
if
a diplomatic standpoint. Go ahead,
in
Keel.
the same way someone asking you, he said, listen, we have to collect the taxes in order to pay the salary grant, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people asking what the money was took out from the Heritage and Civilization Fund to do. We're talking about you have to collect taxes to provide that salary grant. What these people feel when they talk something 2 days ago, they come and they talk something contrary today. We forget about what happened 2 days ago. No, no, what they taking as a
Some of us don't forget. Yes, some of us don't forget. But the general public is here's what. Hold $1 today, hold $2 tomorrow, and when Friday reach, then don't forget why I get the dollar in the first place. And you know what? Friday I get $5 to forget that. I have $5. Yeah, man. Yeah, so you know what? You live your life like that, but don't pull me down and let me have to pay for your illiterate, decisions and uninformed decisions. So we as a people have to stand up, know our constitution, know our rights, and demand proper government. We're not asking for it, You have to demand it and command
exactly.
it.
They
You
just doing
understand?
things in front of our face. They're doing things in
Yeah,
front of our
because
face and expect
yeah,
us to hear what they're saying and accept it. Because look what going on with the people in Barbados, and then we have people in Suriname and Venezuela, right? So we had, besides those three groups, we had a group of people on the boat, the cruise, right? Now all
mm-hmm,
these people left and went about their business around the same time where we knew this virus was here and that triggers pandemic status here, right? And they went, right? But what we see now is just one group, the cruise group, back in the country, and everybody else get locked out, right? And then we hear now that somebody affiliated with the PNM organized that cruise and made a call and get you to bring his people back, right? What about our other people? They're not
that's
Trinidadians too.
right.
It's so
That's right.
blatant, and
And
then you
what
have
about
people now
those?
fight and combat on that and defend that.
Mm-hmm.
We can defend that.
You understand?
We are
That's true. How
separatists,
you can
man.
defend such idiocracy? You understand? That is a pile of rubbish. So you're right, Akil. How you could defend that? Just like someone stated on Facebook someday, I was looking at the post. You're bringing in these people from Venezuela. You understand? But you lock out the rest of trainees outside. Double standards. Double standards. Playing off. That's showing me that this government don't give a rat's ass about my well-being. And they concerned with what they want to do. But again, it's we the people to blame for that. We are to blame because according to that individual in parliament who thinks he knows about finance, you understand? With an alleged brain, that guy said we ain't riot yet. You
No
understand?
doubt that
I
he has
listen
a
to
brain.
people.
He has a brain. He has a brain for his
Yeah, you have a brain, but where is it? Where is it? Is it wrapped in toilet paper? Oh, okay. I listen to these
But in
people,
any case,
and all I think about, I listen to all of them and the statements that they make, and it's such rubbish. And you know what? The diehards soaking that, and according to you, defending it down to the last, because apparently they have no greater entity than those. But you know what I tell them straight in the face? Look where they live in, look where you live in. Look what they eating, look what you eating. Answer me now. Why you faithful? It come like if I have
but
a wife and let me just say, cheating on me right through. You think it makes sense to take her back? That don't make no sense. Come now, man. Come now, man. People are just to use the brain. Think about what they're doing.
hey, just
Mm-hmm.
close your eyes. She will stop eventually. Give them a chance. Give her a chance again. She will stop, right?
She
But
go
you know,
stop 57 years and she has stopped.
the
57
opposition
years and
leader,
it's still going on.
the
Mm-hmm.
opposition leader. I mean, it's not Philip Push-ups. My mistake. It's just I hear more from Philip than the opposition leader. Who's the opposition leader again?
I
I
don't,
think
we
maybe
have
planting.
opposition. I don't know.
Because I
Pumpkin. I don't
hear
know. I really don't know,
any opposition.
I really don't
Anyway, if
know.
you need to If
Well,
you need tomato,
well,
you have to get the address to go and see if you get a tomato or two, right? Because
well, Keel, check
apparently,
something, eh? Because half of the country SC. So what I go tell you, UNC nothing yet. UNC nothing happening. You understand? UNC the shit that
and
taking place.
we have a president. We're not hearing anything from the president either. I think the last I heard from the president was the opening of the Red House. I can't
Hmm.
recall if
So
he spoke after that.
now check something. During the renovation of that Red House, this pandemic had already hit the world, you know. I mean, anybody with 1/8 or 1/16 of a brain would have said, let's not spend that money. Let's prepare because somehow it will reach here. It will. So let's put things in place. Let's spend $500 million on security and food and health. No, brother man, that's not important because you know why? My bank account going to remain empty. And I already told you and instructed you that you need to do X, Y, and Z. I already instructed you to not shut down Carnival. My products had to sell. You're mad or kill, like you're my fire out. You understand what I'm saying? Hypothetically speaking. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you have puppet masters pulling the strings, these people in parliament, I want to call a name so bad, but they're probably looking at this and know to themselves, yes, I am a dummy. I am that airhead that this guy is talking about. Because you have no sense. You have no sense. Actually, let me take that back. They have a lot of sense, but for the self. Where
Yeah.
we where we go in, you understand what I'm saying? Where we go in with all this hypocrisy and all this other nonsense. Where we go in, Trinidad and people like too much of bacchanal. Let us look and be our brother's keeper. Let us look and take care of our neighbor. There was a time in Trinidad, you could have go out anywhere, leave it open, and the neighbor will come and close it for you. Now you have to worry about if the neighbor come in to close it and remove half your shit. So what we really doing?
I want to bring
You
back up a
understand? We
whole
live
issue.
in
A whole issue straight on the topical. Some months ago, we identified, you know about it, the sewer line that ruptured and water switch was flowing. It's still flowing into the Samoa River. That's in the Real Street area there. We highlighted that and we went right up the chain in terms of reports. I personally made reports to EME, Kariri, I call it Kariri. We reached as far as getting the Agriculture Minister, Clarence Rambarat, involved also, and he said he also called the authorities, right? That that issue is still outstanding. We have that sewage line flowing constantly into the Samoa River, which is the same river that's flowing through the agricultural lands in Aranguez, where some of the farmers, because they don't have a proper supply of water, would be using the river to irrigate their crops, right? And I would say this is a urgent thing that WASA should have top priority, which they're giving us excuses like they don't have pipe. They had to order the pipe. This leaking since September, and they know about it since September because they got reports in September last year. And that's
yeah, but Akil, there's one instance of sewage you're talking about. What about the broken line in Beaton that running underneath people's house? What about
Exactly.
them? And PNM want to come and say, Fitzgerald Hines and those idiots want to come and say, oh, them is my people. That is why I'm glad they kicked shit water on them last time in the flood. Because you know what?
And even
You want to say yes, I man, and that you come from there. Yeah. Right? And that you come from there, but you're not helping your own people. Why is that? Why is that? And then at the end of the day, it has no rebuttal for those ministers and those MPs who have portfolios to take care of. If there was full accountability and transparency and what we like to call recall legislation, if you can't do your work, get out. Get out. If you can't function, get out. Move yourself
but
from there, or you're fired.
we have systems set in place. I dealing with a TN Tech issue, a street lighting issue actually. And so I was sending emails and I made calls and reports and nothing was being done. So this is over 5, 6 month period. And I decide, okay, cool, let me follow protocol and go up the chain of command. We have an ombudsman who you could send emails to if you're not getting through with whatever utilities, public utilities issue, right? And I sent 3 emails to the ombudsman and nothing, no reply, no nothing. So we left in a situation where you're dealing with an issue and you're not getting through with
I'll pull
the
it up on a live show.
directly responsible for it. And you have
On a live show on Facebook here. I'll pull it up.
right? You have nobody, no chain of command. Well, you have, but you're not getting any action from them, right? And then it leads you to somebody who tell you, okay, well, call the MP direct and talk to him, or talk to this one, and then when you hear the shot, you demand something and he will fix you up. And that's the kind of stupidness we had to deal with in a lot of the institutions, from all license office, everything, and this was public record. They talk about this in license office, right? But we as the people, as ordinary people, have to help to stop this also. I mean, it's difficult because when I wired my house, it took me 4 months to get the inspector to come. And the day I tell my electrician, go ahead and give the inspector wherever. He came the following day or the following morning. This is after about 10 attempts in terms of saying he come in and then he don't show up and I steal him from work and lose a day pay and all kind of strictness like this. I couldn't take it after 4 months. So I had to pay the bribe, right? And a lot of people end up in that situation in Trinidad because it's almost like it's culty. If you don't know somebody or you don't have a link and you don't pay something, you ain't get it. And it reached so bad that in the passport office some months ago you hear you could fast track your passport, pay an extra 200 or 500 or how much ever it was to fast track your passport. So it was legal robbery at that point in time because people get so accustomed to doing it on the hand that the government here, look, let's take advantage of it. We make it legal, pay more money and you get faster, which means it could be done faster in the first place.
That's right. That's right.
We do in this country. And we,
Yeah, but really and truly, I feel.
Right.
Yeah, we have a full, a non-functioning entities and various ministries, together with non-functioning or non-functional ministers, MPs, and representatives. Now, to get back on point, we really and truly do not need or require the services of any private entity to assist the police with keeping the place quiet. Again, 243 army personnel in each constituency, average, together with police patrols. That should provide a peace of mind. I don't want to see no amalgamated car. I don't want to see no innovative vehicle. I don't want to see no private vehicle patrol in my area. Because you know what? You can't do shit. Point blank. Yes, it is a deterrent, but in the same breath, here's what. Who going to guard the guard? You understand? You lack accountability there. You're lacking accountability there. So utilize the services that we do have. Save the country some money. And like I said before, take that same money that you want to pay these contractors with and put it back into the economy and feed somebody, help a family. Now, they're asking people in the private sector, like landlords and whatnot, to withhold rent. But these people also have financial commitments at the end of the month. So if I don't pay my rent, how is my landlord, per se, going to meet his commitments? What should have been done is that they should have asked, not really asked, they should have made sure the banks withhold payments, stop the payments and not add interest onto it. The business taxes, stick a pin in it. All of these little things, utilities, stick a pin in it. So you know what? It is now less stress for the average person that had to think about, well, all right, so as a landlord, I don't have the bank to pay this month. I get it deferred for about 3 months. I have no interest penalties to pay after that. I don't have to worry about the light bill for the place. I don't have to worry about the water bill that I'm not getting water for. That one, yeah. So I don't have to worry about that. Flow on these companies, stick a pin in your payments. You understand? Those people only want people to patronize all your business and utilize your services and your products and services, but you're not willing to meet the people halfway, because at the end of the day, they're telling you go online and pay a bill. You know, you're telling me that you still don't care. Point blank, you still don't care. What if now there's a difference between daily paid, weekly paid, fortnightly paid, and monthly paid people in terms of, I believe, certain financial responsibilities? Now, the daily paid people, you don't really have nothing to get. Weekly paid, you don't really have nothing to inherit. Monthly paid and fortnightly, yes. You understand? To some degree, you can get back something off of that payment structure. But again,
Yeah.
if I'm home for a month, at the end of the month, my landlord is not going to say, oh, hey, don't worry, boy, COVID, go study it. Because you know what? The bank not coming and tell him, hey, don't worry, boy, COVID. TNTech not coming and tell him, don't worry, boy, COVID. So the pressure goes up the chain and it forms a domino effect. So in truth and in fact, when you really dissect this entire situation that takes place in this country, they have now weaponized COVID-19 to make sure that, you know what, let's distract them this way, let's distract them that way, let's provide so many distractions. And where is the HSF? Where is the money from that? I demand a breakdown on that, and I want to know down to the cent. You understand? I don't want to hear that company X paying a security guard $200 an hour, because that's BS. Security guards, some do get a good salary depending on their position within the company. If it's armed guards, canine guards, what have you. But at the end of the day, you cannot come to me with an invoice telling me that, okay, this is how we are coming for the money. Company X, we have to pay them $5 million a month because their security guards getting $1,000 a day. And at the end of the day, the security guards still suffering at the end of the day. So again, miss me with that bullshit. So you know what?
I
We now have to stand up and demand an explanation to where all this money is going from the HSF, because that is supposed to provide for generations to come in case of situations like this. If you hold payments and hold taxes and hold all of these things, yes, we are already under a financial trying time, but you know what? It's going to make it a lot more palatable for the average Joe, the average person who can now say, well, all right, I get sent home. The company not paying me because I'm not working. So at the end of the month, I don't have to worry about the rent. And you know what? They took off taxes off of the food items. So the little $100 I have, it could buy 12.5% more items rather than 15% less items. So you know what? Let me don't not worry. Let me don't go out by the neighbor and thief what you have, because my $100 gone stretch, because they remove the little taxes and whatnot off of food items, necessities. I ain't saying jam and peanut butter and whatnot, you know, but the basics like bread and rice and flour, meat to some degree, the basics for people to live. Because according to a good friend of mine, and you and I both know this guy, Mr. Mahu himself, understand? When you have
I want to see Matthew
uh,
after 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 all of this what we're going through now. We have we have intelligent people in this country that can sit down and work out a strategy in case we should have to face a next situation like this in the upcoming years, where it would be handled better. Now, I'm sure it probably have some documentation and things in file in some ministry somewhere that would have advised how to deal with this kind of situation in a program way, right? But again, there are certain things that this government can't do because it will show them up for their lack of action previously. For instance, the true, real 100% locking down many borders. I don't think the borders really locked down right now, right? Not 100%. I believe we still have boats coming in. That might be reduced now that we're hearing that America have boats and subs and things in the region. So a lot of the trafficking and whatever boats coming in might reduce. But still, Imagine if Stuart Young had said, okay, cool, we're locking down the sea borders, instruct the Coast Guard, give them all the tools they need to lock down the borders 100%. Then people would have asked afterwards, how come you can do it now and you didn't do it before? Right? So
That's
think
right.
about it. There's a
That's
lot of
right.
things that the government would not do. They would continue to make it look as if they can't do certain things because it will make them look bad on how they are dealt with it in the past and what they said. They can't do this and they can't do that. Agriculture for one. The Prime Minister said we do have land to plant. That is horse. Horse. You
Mhm.
know what? We have land.
Yeah.
We still have land. We have another agricultural land that one up in strip malls and whatever and so we still have land we could plant. We could bring them farmers together and work out using the consumption data as we see, work out what the country needs, right? Instruct the farmers, okay, cool, we're gonna give you the support, we're gonna give you some back-end seeds, whatever, assist with chemicals, organize some labor, and let's see how fast
Mhm.
we could get 10,000 pounds of potato in the ground, how fast we could get cassava in the ground. Let's see how fast we could do these things.
Mhm.
Let's get up where we could feed the nation. The rice, we have rice farmers. I was reading something some time ago. They had some issue with mill and national flour mills with downgrading the rice and a lot of things was happening and I want to believe that it was all in the effort to stifle the local farmer or supplier rice in order to import where one person, two people might make money based on who they import from or whatever. All right, let's boost the rice. Let's get rice back on track. Get rice back on track. We have plenty rice land that just stand up there doing nothing. Push, encourage the
That's
rice
right. That's
farmers.
right.
If they support
And the
needed,
infrastructure is
let's
still there.
have
Yeah.
right. Stop importing all this rice. We supporting other countries. Yes, we have certain CARICOM thing. Okay, cool. But we have rice coming from other countries. We already need to import rice from there, right? We have yam. You want
Mhm.
to bring in yam from Ghana? We could plant yam. But
You
we
understand?
importing yam. Push
But
yam,
I
yam,
mean,
yam,
this man want to import yam and cut a yam deal with his yam head, right? Now, look at the freight charges on that alone. You understand? No, it must piss me off because here's what going on. The freight charges on that
yam.
alone could take you could take them same freight charges and like you say, invest it in the local farming industry. The same
Yeah.
taxes, or you might relieve yourself from taxes, right? But still the
Mm.
cost of bringing in that cost of load, not purchasing in, the shipment cost of that alone, you can invest it in
Yeah.
something more
Exactly.
productive. And like I said, we still have a lot of land, farming land available to farmers. The rice land all down by Caroni there, the infrastructure is still in place. The land is just there doing nothing. Why not? Let's just say, why not somebody come in, reopen Caroni and contract the land to all the ex-Caroni workers as farmers? You understand? Give your tax breaks, like you previously said, give your tax breaks on everything to do with agriculture. Everything. You understand? Carney will now purchase it from you and distribute it as necessary. As we would have our own industry, food industry revamped. But you see, the decision makers in this
Everything.
country, they don't think that far ahead. Because at the end of the day, the decision makers, their salary comes from import and export. You understand? Read between the
Let me
lines.
tell you something.
Their
For
salary. Mhm.
everything we complain about, you could go back and check government documents or whatever, and you will see they implemented something to to, to have that effect in terms of for betterment. But it's all a show, it's all magic, is poof, abracadabra kind of thing. Because my experience when I was seriously into the agriculture, government at that point was giving out land in orange grove. So somebody into agriculture could apply for, I can't remember if it was an acre or 2 acres, right? And they said they were going to supply estate police and they were going to put in roads and certain things, right? Now, one of the reasons why I didn't go that way is because they also said that you can't build a structure to live on the property. All right. They say you could put up a shed to store your equipment and whatever. Now, when I was planting in Santa Cruz, from picking 4 crocus bags of pimento, the first or second picking, the third picking, I had like 2 high-low bags, right? And finding out that somebody picking my pimento and going with it, and going to the police, and then getting abuse from the police officer for coming to report somebody thieving my drugs. So it's it to fail. So they're giving you, but they're gonna fail it, because if I went in Orange Grove right now, farmers who are encouraging me, who apply for land, that's the exact thing they experience, because they never put the estate the larceny squad to secure the area. They never developed the roads. They never developed the drains. So you had flooding. So it was a failed initiative, right? And maybe it worked for some, depending on which part, but it was a failed initiative, right? As far as I concerned. And they do that many times. They set up things. So you go on Facebook and you might be complaining about this, and then somebody say, oh, look, this was done in 2009, and this was done in 2012, and why you didn't apply, and why you didn't do this, and why you didn't do that. But it's all theater. It's all theater. It's sad.
That's right.
Anyway, we coming close to the 10 o'clock hour, right? So we have a few minutes again. Go ahead. Let's see if we can wrap up here now. Sorry, people, that Felicia got, somehow she had some internet issues and she had to leave. We couldn't take any calls, but I'm sure tomorrow you could call in and ask all the questions tomorrow. All right. Thank you for listening. Right. It was good to be here. It's good to vent sometimes. Sometimes we try not to be too angry, but sometimes you just have to be angry and hit yourself in the head and realize, oh, hey, this something really wrong, and we can't keep taking yours and just it and say, oh, okay, next time they'll do better. Okay, next time they'll do better. It's not so at all. We need to stand up and we need to demand proper governance, and that is long and short. We can't accept nonsense.
That is the bottom line, Akil, and you're absolutely right. We need to make a stand as a people, as a country, as a nation. We need to make that stand to protect our future interests, because those with the responsibility clearly are quite incapable of carrying out such. Or maybe they instructed not to carry out such. Maybe. Conspiracy theory again. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we have, as a people, we need to protect our interests. I always use a reference because Trini people like to use America as a standard for everything. If Americans are faced with a common enemy, they could be what shade of the rainbow, what race, they will come together and deal with it until it's eliminated. Whether it be a foreign or domestic threat, we will deal with you or the situation. After that, they'll go back to killing one another. You understand? Just say it, as an example. But yeah, but why can't we? Why are we running around like headless chicken? Why are we allowing wolves to be shepherds? You understand?
You know
they lead in the strong.
In some cases, I believe let's say in your area, you know the person who's growing up as the council or whatever in your area. You might want certain things done. You might not be too for that party, let's say. But you know the person and you know, okay, hey, if he gets in power, because they just always say power, we just say office, but they just say power, right? If he gets in power, I know him, so I could organize with him and he will help me out. And it shouldn't be like that. Anybody who goes into office, it shouldn't be I know you, so I'll help you out. I'll make sure you get water. I will make sure you get a house grant to fix your roof. It shouldn't be like that. It should be that that service is offered to everyone who needs it, and not, okay, use my friend, and when I get in power, you will benefit from my power because I will give you whatever you want. So some people have a fear in them. In other words, for instance, my situation last night on Facebook, where you don't want to go against what this person might be doing or saying or his actions in the fear of not being able to benefit from him when he is in power, or when you may need some favor from him. So you put aside your beliefs. It could be religious beliefs, it could be your own personal beliefs, where you should treat everybody properly, and not be disrespectful and that kind of thing, in the name of being able to benefit from a water supply or a grant or some kind of thing. And in a lot, I'm not saying this is the case in what went on with me, but it's the case for some in some instances. And this is where we had to get
Mm-hmm.
past. We had to know we have to give up certain things in order to put ourselves in a better position. Stop bribing, stop encouraging corruption, stop encouraging nepotism. If you know you related to me and I in charge of distributing contracts in the area to build box trains, don't come to me and say, hey, boy, you set me up with a box train now. Tell me how much you really quote for. Make sure I get approved. I'll give you all the money. If we wanted to stop at the high level, we need to stop too at the low level. And this is where
That's right.
this is
That's
where we
right.
have to reach to Trinidad and Tobago. We have to start. We have to take the speck out of our own eyes first before we could demand it from anybody else. And we need to get to this
Mm-hmm.
place, and we need to get to this place fast, right? Some say the world will not change until God come. I hope He come tomorrow. But in the meantime, we could make an effort and try to be better people of Trinidad and Tobago. Closing comments, Matt.
That's right. That's right. Fully agree with you there, Q. Fully agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we as a people, we really need to take that stand and get hold of ourselves and our situation, because we cannot, definitely cannot continue along the path that we're on. We can't. We can't. We are already in a sinking ship. You understand? And we are the only people who can pull it out of the water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are our own
Definitely.
saviors. And
That's
what
right.
is Felicia
Because
at the end of the show? She, in closing now, she says we must stay apart. Gosh, I can't remember. Anyway, Matthew, it was nice chatting. Trinidad and Tobago,
same here.
great to be here. We'll see you again soon. Master Control, this is our time out now. And everybody stay safe. Until next time, peace out.